So, who wants to make this fabulous wreath with me? Decorate your home for the fall season, Halloween, trick or treat? Let me show you how. Make sure you watch the entire video before you get started. It will certainly help you out. So to make today's project, we are going to be looking to have our Simply Created Frightful Wreath kit found on page 37 of our new holiday catalog. It will contain all of the pieces that you need. In addition, you are going to want to have on hand the Frightful Wreath stamp set, a hot glue gun, the silicone mat, some basic black ink, perfect plum ink. Definitely you're going to want some needle nose pliers that also have a cutter built into them. And then I always have on hand my craft rubber scissors as well as my paper snips. So let's get started. What I love about this hot glue is that this, for the first time in quite a while, if you actually get some strings from your glue, it actually looks like a real spider web. So I'm not even going to bother picking all that off of there because I really like it. Okay, so I've gotten all of the pieces out of the package, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use our hot glue gun to put some glue onto our wreath, and we're going to use the black tinsel, and we're going to glue that on there. I'm going to wrap this all the way around, and then I'll be right back with you. When you've gotten all the way around, you're going to put another big squad of hot glue on there and glue the very end of your tinsel to your wreath. And then what you're looking at is a wreath that has been fully covered. Okay, your next step is going to be to take your glittery spider web and glue that to the tinsel. So I'm going to do that also using hot glue. Okay, for our next phase in the kit, you will see that there's a tangelo and white striped, all fully scored strip. This is to make your rosette. So what you're going to do, I also want you to notice that there's a hole in the center, and that hole is very important when it comes time for adhering it to your wreath. What you're going to do is, like an accordion, you are going to fold back and forth until you get all the way to the end. Okay, so a little word of advice. When you are folding your paper, what I think you should do is to make sure that one end of them has a peelable strip. So you want to make sure that that end is facing out when you start your fold. So I started folding on that side. We're going to go ahead and peel that strip back. If I can do it. Of course, you know, when you're on camera, it makes you a little bit more nervous, and it never works the way you want it to. Okay, so we're going to peel that, and we're going to stick that end to our opposite end. Making a complete circle. The next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to need to glue our center. So in order to do that, we've got to get a circle made, and we're going to push that whole thing together into a tight circle, and I'm using my silicone pad and my hot glue gun. I'm going to glue that together. Okay, so I have this all together, and in the center of my rosette, I've got quite a glob of hot glue. So this is going to take a little while. I'm going to hold this until this is dry so that my rosette does not come apart. So for my next phase, you're going to want to make sure your hole is up at the top. I've cut off a piece of the tangelo ribbon that is provided, and we're going to be tying this to our spider web, and it's going to be kind of like a dangling. So let me get that done and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I have tied it to my spider web, and you can see that it's kind of a dangling rosette. Once I get the center of my rosette done, which is going to be our next phase, then I'll trim my ribbon accordingly. So to finish off the center of our wreath, we're going to go to the accessory pack that has some of these starbursts. It's got some paper doilies, and it's got a little banner. Using basic black ink and the sponge that is also provided, we're going to sponge up these paper doilies and make them completely black. Using our Frightful Wreath stamp set, we are going to ink up the splatter in a perfect plum, and I'm going to use the trick or treat, and I'm going to ink that in black, and I'm going to go ahead and get my banner made. So let me do those two steps, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, my friends, for the next step, now that I have colored my doilies, I do advise, because my hands got pretty messy, I do advise that you go and wash your hands after you're done coloring these so that you don't get quite a mess everywhere. But what we're going to do next, oh, and by the way, here is my little banner. I use the Perfect Plum for my splotches and my black ink for the trick or treat. I am now going to glue the paper doilies, 2 of them to the front and 2 to the back of the rosette. The starburst is also going to get glued to the front, and then I've kind of just bent my banner a little bit just to give it a little oomph, and that is going to also get glued there to the front of the rosette. So go ahead and do that, and then join me again. Okay, remaining in your kit, you should find some what I call bead pieces. You will find little tiny ball purple beads and some silver bugle beads. You will also find a small silver and a larger, I'm going to call it perfect plum, seeing as that's the color ink that we used. This is called a head pin, and then you will also find 2 little silver embellishments and 2 larger silver embellishments, as well as 4 little pieces of wire. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the head pin. We're going to take one of the small silver pieces with the opening facing down. We're going to take the silver ball and we're going to thread that through. Then we're going to close that by putting the next small silver. Okay, we're then going to take a large silver. Oops, make sure it goes through the center. Okay, we're going to take our purple bead. And then we're going to take our end cap. Now, using our needle nose pliers, we're going to twist up the end of this. Okay, so what I'm doing is taking my needle nose pliers and I am twisting the ends of this wire so that I can close these really tight. Okay, so be it right or wrong, I have this nice little twisted end here. I'm going to try to push it flat as much as possible. So there's going to be a little bit of play in between these because this is about as tight as I can get it. Okay, next step, take your 4 little wires, make sure you bend them so that they're about halfway, in half. You're going to wrap those around the center and I'm going to wrap them like this so that it goes around one time. Okay, and we're going to have 2 of them facing upwards and 2 of them, facing downwards. Okay, one leg at a time, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be feeding our beads. We're going to do a ratio of 3 to 2, I believe. So we're going to do 3 of the little tiny purple beads on there. Well, this is great if you have fingernails or I'm thinking this is going to be easier if I just feed them from the dish. 2, 3. Okay, so there's 3. And then 2 of the silver bugle beads. And we're going to keep alternating that pattern, 3, 2, 3, 2, till we get near the end, and then we're going to be curling over each of the legs. So I'm going to do that on all 4 and then show you what I come up with. Okay, so I have finished my spider, as you can see. And I actually have plenty of beading pieces left over, thinking I might use those in a Project Life scrapbook page or something along that line. But now let's see what we are going to do with our spider. So I took 2 of the hind legs and I hooked the curled ends together to kind of tie them together. The very last piece left from the accessory kit is a piece of silver cord. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that silver cord to hang my spider from the spider web so that it will dangle. So let me get that done and I'll show you what the finished product will look like. Well, there he is. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap. Our holiday Frightful Wreath. Thanks for joining me. Tune in again next time to Stamp Time with Patty.